we recently put up audio of a talk you and Professor Biersack did in the 90s on Luisa Picaretta and the divine will.
Yeah.
In it, you said something shocking, which was that in the Vatican, the position of devil's advocate was abolished.
Yes.
Can you explain in detail the job of the devil's advocate, and also if its absence has a tangible impact on canonizations?
Oh, sure, I can. Basically, the devil's advocate was an official for every cause of a person who was being put up for beatification. That sainthood had a devil's advocate. The devil's advocate was a cleric who was basically assigned the job of proving this person was not a saint, as opposed to proving he or she or it was. So, the devil's advocate they would completely negative. So-and-so healed the sick in Bari in 1328. Really? What's the proof to have of that? Very negative. Go over all the evidence with a fine-tooth comb. Oh, look, these 3 miracles. Oh, were they really miracles? Let's have a look at that. Now, presuming the person was canonized, and this I've always thought was a beautiful, beautiful thing. They'll erect a temporary altar to the newly canonized saint at St. Peter's. The devil's advocate for that cause would do penance in front of the altar, which I just think it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Well, did it have a tangible effect? Well, yeah, several ways. It sped up the process tremendously.
Mm.
I mean, they've still got to fulfill certain rather difficult qualifications, but they don't have someone actively working against it, which means that the thing is quicker, not quick, but quicker than it would have been. That's one thing. Unfortunately, however, it's also had the effect of sowing doubt in the minds of some over the validity of canonization since the devil's advocate was gotten rid of.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's a problem with that doubt, and that is that we didn't always have a devil's advocate anyway. So you're actually going to say that all the saints we had before the process was invented aren't saints.
Interesting.
Well, that's what you'd have to say. If the devil's advocate is absolutely essential for the infallibility of the church to operate in the canonization of saints, then you would have to say that until we had a devil's advocate, we can't be sure. And of course, since we can't be sure, which is insane. Now, do I think it was a good idea of getting rid of the devil's advocate? No, I don't think so. Why? Sowing doubt. You see, part of the problem, there are other things as well, but part of the problem with so many of the changes the church has endured over the past 70 years has been that the people who inflicted them, often for the best of motivations, seemingly had no thought at all to their effect on the faithful. Something can be, shall we say, objectively not wrong, but kind of a problem subjectively. I mean, you come home one day and you find out that your mother's decided to train to be a Red Cross nurse to go off and heal the people in Ghana. Well, okay. She's never had any interest in nursing before. You're grown. I mean, you don't need your mother to be here. Your father signed off on it. But it isn't just about your mother's suddenly changing role. You come home and she's going to be a go-go dancer. She suddenly changes on you. The changes themselves may or may not be good or bad. That's one issue. But the second issue is the effect of them on, in this case, the children, in the case of the church, the faithful. Instilling doubt when change is not required is a poor bargain.
Mm.
I mean, in a perfect world, when contemplating change, a high cleric would look at the thing and say, well, see, it's a nice idea theoretically, but how's it really going to end up? How's it going to result? And I think in this, as in so many other things, the old adage, when it is not absolutely necessary to change, it is absolutely necessary not to change, is a good guide.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But unfortunately, with human beings, when we're in positions of authority, and we're living in a period where change is seen as good for itself, that's a siren call that can be very hard to resist.